Hey, Board Gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with take 2 of episode number 129, Gumbo Live, the #1 Facebook Live talk show in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, dedicated to board gaming. Our special guest tonight, it's Dan Patriss of the Geek All Stars. He's going to be talking about some of the geek news, some of the spicy hot games we played, and also we'll play a game with him with the chat crew at the end. Board Game Gumbo, a proud member of Punchboard Media. Hey, check out some of our other fine members, like the State of Games podcast. Dan, you know that one. Chris, Darrell, and TC have a great podcast focusing on con travel, on games, on design tips, and news from the world of gaming. And my favorite part, what really grinds their gears, Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Hey, hit us up on social media tonight, on Twitter or on Facebook, or on YouTube at Board Game Gumbo, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew. But enough blather. Let's get right to our special guest. Hey, Dan, what's up?
How's it going?
I don't know what happened. We had a little weird error with Facebook Live kicking us off, but we're back. Thanks to our friends Beth Sobel, who told us, hey, you and Dan are talking, but nobody can hear anything.
Yeah, I think Facebook found out I'm wanted in about 40 states.
It's either that or it's that outfit that you have on. Dan, yes, tell us what you're wearing.
I was wondering if all the lights and everything was going to either put people into seizures or annoy people. So I apologize if it gets to be too much, chat. You can just tell me and I'll take the lights off. But I'm very, very festive. I love the Christmas season, don't you?
I absolutely love Hey, you know what we should talk about? Christmas music. I love Christmas music. Dan, do you like Christmas music?
Oh, I didn't realize that you loved Christmas music.
I've been listening to Christmas music for weeks, Dan. How about you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, what's pretty funny about that is that, so my co-host on the Geek All Stars, Chris Kirkman, he loves Halloween. It's his absolute favorite day of the year. So anytime he sees anything having to do with Christmas before Halloween, you know what really grinds my gears? I'm sure he's talked about it a ton of times on the stadiums, but he's like texting me. He's like, there's trees out in here. I see there's trees. And he gets all rah, 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 rah. And I'm the opposite. Like November 1st, as soon as the Christmas music starts, I've got to start listening to it. I can't get enough. I mean, obviously, by the time Christmas is over, I'm a little tired of it. So then, like, once New Year's or Christmas, the day after Christmas, no more. I'll wait till November again. But until then, I absolutely love all things Christmas.
I'm like you. When New Year's Eve rolls around, I don't want to hear another Christmas song. But hey, let's not talk too much about Christmas songs because you and I talked about it for 10 minutes already. What we should talk about is, who is Dan Patriss? What are the Geek All Stars, or who are the Geek All Stars? And also, I mean, it's a Geek All Star tradition. What are you drinking, Dan?
Well, to start, what is that you had there? It was a nice looking can you had there.
Look in honor of Dan Patriss being on the show tonight. My bumper is talking about Chris Kirkman's show, right? And then I've got Dice. I've got Draft Mechanic shirt on tonight. Draft Mechanic from Charlotte, North Carolina, and then finally, Farmer Ted's Golden Ale from Catawba Brewing Company, which you said has a couple of good beers.
Yep, they sure do.
I like this one. What do you got?
I've actually got Raleigh Brewing's. This is one of my favorite beers, the First Squeeze. So it's an American wheat ale with orange peel, but it's excellent. A little not too fruity, but yet still has that good little twist to it.
I love citrus beers, which the chat crew would know if they heard us talking whenever the show wasn't loading. Oh, Dan, it's one of those things where we had the greatest 15 minutes of opening ever, and nobody's ever going to hear it. So,
but it's okay. Well, we can talk again. Would you like me to tell you who the Geek All Stars are, or
tell us, Dan, who are the Geek All Stars?
So the Geek All Stars right now, currently, it's myself and Chris Kirkman, and Chris Kirkman's been around for about 150 episodes now. We've been around for almost 10 years now. And kind of what happened was my buddy Todd, so I'm a pharmacist by trade, and my wife is also a pharmacist. And I was working nights at the time, working 7 on, 7 off with my buddy Todd, who's another big geek, and he's actually a movie director. And every night we would be talking about, it was kind of almost like a Seinfeld episode. It was like every night was, just talking about nothing. And I was a huge gamer, and he liked games, but he wasn't really a huge board gamer. But we took myself, who was the board gamer, my buddy Paul, who was kind of a tech guy, and then Todd, who was a big movie director. And we just started. We were like, you know what? Let's make the Geek All Stars and just do a podcast. And back then, 10 years ago, there was like 4 or 5 board gaming podcasts, so it wasn't really a whole lot. So we kind of wanted to branch out and do a little bit of everything. And then eventually, I started getting Todd into gaming, and he just jumped headfirst into gaming, like a lot of people do, where you buy everything. You just can't get enough. He just started loving gaming and all sorts of different games and just couldn't get enough. And then eventually, I want to say it was probably about a year or two into it, Todd decided to take a job in Antarctica at McMurdo Station.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. So he went down there, and what you do down there when you do the rotations at the station is you're only allowed to be down there for about 8 to 10 months at a time at most. So he was down there for then, and then he ended up coming back, and he had kind of moved away. But once he left, and then right after he left, my buddy Paul had gotten married and moved to Seattle. He ended up moving back, but he had moved all the way out to Seattle. So all of a sudden I was without a co-host. Oh. So I did a couple of reviews kind of with a couple of different fill-ins, but then we had such good chemistry with Kirkman that it just became my co-host, and I was calling my long lost twin brother. So myself and Kirkman have been doing a show for about 160 episodes then.
10 years, Dan.
Yep.
I think you guys started in 11 or 12, something.
It was
like
11. That? So I want to believe it was the June of 11 is when we started the show, and we back to, well, pretty much especially early on. Tom didn't want, people, they wanted to make sure that people had an actual established show and were more than 50% about board games. So, I didn't know how any, back then when you're first starting out, you don't know how anything like networks or anything like that works. So after a while, Tom and Eric were like, I was talking to Eric one time. He's like, what do you mean I thought you were already on our network. I was like, all right, well, sounds good. So we joined the Dice Tower Network back then.
Proud members of the Dice Tower Network. Hey, live show. We got a couple people checking in all the way from down under. My good buddy Joel Lewis, or as I like to say, Joel Lewis, designer of Fluttering Souls. Dan, you might have seen that one around the internet. Fluttering Souls.
I think I have.
Game. Really, really cool game. Our favorite lefty writer, Patrick Newman, saying, "Hey, Patrick, we got to see what you're drinking tonight because we've got a couple of stuff here." There's a man after my own heart, Jeremy Howard, checking in. Hey, what's up, Jeremy?
Oh, how's it going, Jeremy?
I bet Jeremy's got some kind of smoky scotch or something like that he's drinking. Hey, we know this guy, Don Lyles.
Yes, we do.
Don, we got to do something. Andrew is just killing us.
Yeah, all the games that we play. He's kind of part of our 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, playing all these online games all the time between me, BJ, Don, and Andrew Buckholtz. But Buckholtz he just beats us at everything.
Oh,
it's amazing.
The Roger Dice, he's got us in Roger Dice. Trent Turner checking and says, "Hey, loves the state of games and Geek All Stars."
Oh,
so it's for you, Dan.
Trent. I really appreciate it.
There's someone I recognize the last name. I'm not sure if you know her. Janice Patrice.
It's my wife. Hey, look at that beautiful picture.
Look at that picture. Hello, Janice.
She's the one that gave me these as well. She's like, "Why don't you wear those?" I was like, "Okay, why not?"
Thank you for checking in, and we fully expect her to join the show later tonight if she wants to join us.
Hey, from her PJs and half asleep.
From the No Cube Zone, we got Jordan checking in. Jordan, some great episodes lately. You guys are killing it. They just hit their 50th episode, Dan.
Hey, congratulations.
And you know how it is. People start podcasts, they get to episode 5 or 6, and then it just kind of pod fades, right? These guys
and you're not really a podcaster until you've at least pod faded 1 or 2 shows that you started. So,
hey, we took a break for about 4 months, and I was just burnt out, had some things going on at the house, and then it was actually kind of nice when we recharged, but we came back. Got Beth, who saved us from talking to ourselves for an hour and a half.
Thank you very much, Beth.
Thank you, Beth. We appreciate it, and that's right. So Patrick says he's drinking Orange Blossom Mead from Celtic Cross Meadery. Are you a mead drinker, Dan?
No, I don't think I think I've tried mead before, but I haven't really looked into acquiring some more mead. But I would, I'll try just about anything, But
I've never tasted mead, and this is a little out of my league. The name father says Dragon's Milk Reserve Bourbon Aged Stout.
Oh, that's a good stuff. That you can't have too much of that though.
That's the one. Now
it'll make you go broke and NC double.
Dan, I don't know if you know about this, but my kids play lacrosse. Have I ever told you that?
No, I've heard of that before.
So Don Lyles says Leinenkugel, and the only reason I know Leinenkugel because that's not a Louisiana drink, but one of our lacrosse coaches was from up north, and he was from Minnesota, and he was from St. Paul, and he loved Leinenkugel. So I never even heard of it, but
Leinenkugel has a lot of good, shandies and a lot of the fruitier beer, but that vanilla porter is also excellent. I highly recommend that.
Alex Goldsmith says, when is the Geek All-Star voting this year? And can you fill out multiple ballots? Like, remember the All-Star game? You can fill out as many ballots as you want.
That's right, as many as you want. I actually, usually about this week or next week, I'll put up the voting for the game of the year. Will go up on the site.
Okay. This tells you that Alex is a hockey player, not a baseball player. Jeremy Howard at shortstop, 6 foot something? No, that guy's a first baseman, man. You plug the guy at first base, you teach him how to stretch, right?
I want to put him on defense. I want him to be my defense partner. Big dude like that.
Jeremy's too tall to play. You don't put him at shortstop. Although things change because there are a lot of big shortstops now. You know, yeah. Alex,
but he'd probably be good on skates, and if I could stand next to him, and nobody would mess with me at all.
I don't know Mead. Hey, there's Mick checking in. Mick from Our Family Play. Another one that just hit their 50th episode. Also,
hey, congratulations, Mick!
Congratulations to Mick and all them. So we got a big show tonight. We're gonna be. I told Steve. In fact, let me get Steve in here. I told Steve that what we'll be doing is we're gonna sort of steal the format from the Geek All Stars a little bit. But
sounds good to me.
But this is not going to be a 3.5 hour show.
No, that's okay. Let me tell you, you wouldn't be the first to steal something we've done.
Hey, Steve, the name father's checking in. What's up, Steve?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Well, Steve.
How's it going, Dan?
So one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is you have so many places that you're doing. I just don't understand how you can do so many different contributions, Dan. How did you get involved in some of them? The most important one to me, because Steve, it's that time of the year when Steve and I talk about charities that we like to donate to. And you have one near and dear to my heart, Gamers for Cures. How did that start?
So my daughter has Turner syndrome. And again, I started it pretty much about 4 or 5 months after I started the podcast. I was doing a Komen 5K, and I was listening to just podcasts and stuff. And I kept hearing about people doing extra life and playing video games for 24 hours. So I thought, well, gamers will do anything to play board games. So I was like, let me start a board gaming for 24 hours. And I thought it wasn't going to be much anything. I even thought of just doing it at work, where I would just get a couple of guys and we would just sit in a boardroom and do it. And then I approached the local Gamers Armory, who's a local FLGS, about doing it. And they thought it was a great idea. So it started pretty small. We only had probably about 20, 30 people that were doing it like overnight all the time that first year. And then we've just been doing it every year up until this year. Obviously with COVID, things have changed, but we have been doing it for 9 years. We do a 24-hour board game marathon. Marathoners make donations to play for a full 24 hours. We have what's called The Wall, where we get donations. At Gen Con, I get a ton of donations, and throughout, a lot of great publishers are just great about sending games for the charity. And we put it up on a wall, and you buy dollar tickets to put it into whatever slot you want, put your name and number on there. And we also do it online. You can get online raffle tickets, and we just play games for 24 hours. And we've made, we just donate everything to charity. We do it for the Turner Syndrome Society of the Carolinas, and also for the main chapter of the US, which is down, and I believe it's San Antonio. But up to date, we've raised over $130,000 for Turner Syndrome Society, just for our charity. It's
wow, Dan, fantastic.
Thank you.
Good on you.
Over 130. That's a lot of money, Steve. 130,000. Steve, should we throw Topher out? He's drinking Bush beer. Everybody's talking about all these craft beers and meads, and he's drinking Bush beer.
I think the Bush beer and the ramen are enough of a punishment.
Yes, that's an interesting combo.
Dan, you talked about on the State of Game. I mean, on your show, the Geek All Stars, that with Gen Con not being around, it was a little. It made you have some pause about what to do with your Games for Cures this year. What did you decide, or do you want to wait to talk about it on the show?
No. We've. I mean, it would have actually been about a month. It's always the second weekend in November is always when Gamers for Cures is. So obviously, this year, without having a lot of donations, without being able to go to Gen Con, because between Gen Con Origins, kind of where you get all of the connections, and I drive to Gen Con up in Indy. I have an SUV like everybody, like good old suburban middle-aged man, dads. I have an SUV, so we always drive up there, and we get all sorts. I just pile up in all the donations in the back, and that's kind of how we get everything for Gamers for Cures. But this year, and I felt really bad. It's been hard enough with publishers having to deal with COVID themselves and no cons, so I didn't really want to you know, I didn't want to reach out and ask for handouts this year because it's hard enough for them. So I just thought this year we'd, you know, giving back, just doing more of, you know, helping to advertise and to buy games ourselves more from the publishers and FLGS to support it that way. And we'll just put off Gamers for Cures for 1 year. I thought about doing it in the spring or pushing it back, but I'm just going to push it back for a full year. And we'll have our big 10th anniversary extravaganza. We'll just have to wait another year, but we're gone, but not, well, you know, we're postponed, but not forgotten.
Not forgotten. Well, hey, make sure you contact me next year because I would love to participate. It sounds like an awesome
Absolutely.
charity. One part of the Geek All Stars is, man, you guys run one of the longest news segments. I mean, everybody brings in the news and what everybody, to me, has been talking about the last couple of days. The first topic I want to talk to you about is Restoration Games hiding one of their big releases and just throwing it out there right around Black Friday and Cyber Monday. And to me, it just caught the board game world on fire. And then what I'm talking about, of course, is the Little Red Riding Hood versus Beowulf set. You know, Steve, Red Riding Hood, Wolf, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a great fun. It's a great fun. So, but are you into Unmatched, Dan? Are you a big fan?
So this is kind of there's a humorous side of this. Yes, I love Unmatched. I don't play it all that much because I never win. Because my main gaming partner with something like this is Kirkman, and he is just strategy and tactics through the nose. Like I can never win when I play Unmatched at all. So it's hard for me to get it to the table because I'm like, why put something down that I'm never going to win? But I absolutely love the game. I have to, if I can just get my, my wife or my kids, or actually when another buddy of ours, Chris, comes over, we're always playing Gloomhaven, so we never have time to play, something small, smaller, but the Unmatched system is second to none. What they've done to that system is just unbelievable.
I don't know how Justin and Rob did it, but they've got this new set that has come out, and it's a different artist from the first one. But to me, it still has sort of the same flavor, yet looks a little bit different. But they made a couple of big changes. Now, I have not played it, unlike our friend Don, who's been bragging about it all over social media that he's got to play. And we haven't played. Neither one of us have played yet, right? Steve, Dan,
no, I haven't gotten this set yet.
I would love to play this new set because it looks right up my alley. It's got two characters. It's got Little Red Riding Hood, and it's also got Beowulf. It also introduces a couple of new mechanics. One cool one is this doorway. Do you see those little brown things up in the upper corner?
Mm-hmm.
The doorways are really cool. One of the issues when you're playing, sometimes you just have to get away. You just need a turn or two to survive, pull some cards. But everybody's got about the same movement, so you really can't get away, right?
Yep.
The doorways, as you're running out, you can slam the door closed. It's a free action, and the person coming from behind has to use up one of their movement points to open up the door. So I like that. It gives you a chance to kind of run away and maybe get it, especially with a character like Red, where she's a brawler, but the huntsman is a range weapon guy. I can see some cool combos where Red pops in, slaps people around, runs out, and then lets the huntsman pick people off, right?
They do a really good job with the companions on every one of their sets.
They do.
They're very, obviously very thematic. The cards really are good support for it. And what's really great about Unmatched is kind of that cat and mouse game. And it has that roots to even poker and Magic and everything else, where you have to know what the other, especially when you play it enough, you have to know what they have or don't have, and sometimes you just got to go for it when you're playing it, because there's almost everything can be countered in some way by the other decks, and that's what's great about the balance of the game as well.
I'll give a shout out to Dukes of Dice. They had an awesome episode that came out this week where they got a sneak peek at it. They did an interview with Justin, but Sean did a full review of the new set. And the shout out is because I think he hit the nail on the head. It rewards people that play these decks more and more, but not so much like Magic the Gathering or Arkham Horror or one of these other, I'm not Arkham Horror, the one with the Android Netrunner. Not so much where if you know the decks, you can't be beat, right?
Right.
I don't find that. I mean, if you've played Unmatched before, you'll probably win that first game against somebody, but you're gonna have to play well, because anybody that knows how to play any kind of tactics or play card play and see the combos, it only takes a game or two to figure this game out. Don't you think, Dan?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, like you said, once you've played a time or two and kind of like the first time you play against somebody who has played, you won't realize that there's actually the counters for things. And that's why when it's coming, you can kind of see, and I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that you cannot hide how many cards you have in your hand. So, knowing that they have, and sometimes somebody can get caught without a card in their hand. So, depending on how defensive or how much you get, and there are characters that they kind of feast. I think it's Medusa that actually feasts off of making people discard cards, or really kind of cashes in when they don't have a hand.
Robin Hood likes doing that too. Robin Hood loves making people discard cards,
And then when you can play that one card that's easy to counter, but if you can't counter it, it's huge. I think there's usually like a 5 or 6 damage card where if you can't counter it, even though it's easy. So that's where kind of the repeated play lets you know, oh, this is an easy one to counter, or this isn't an easy one to counter. So that's just, an experience is good, but like you said, you're never going to be completely outmatched no matter what in those games, which is great. Which is a great thing about that design of Unmatched.
They're always a tough first play. We've only played it the once, and without Dave Duga whispering in our ear, it would have been a flat out crush. So yeah, you've got to return some effort in coming back to the game.
I do like the 4-player game, by the way. Dan, I don't think you've played the 4-player game, have you?
No, I have not played it. I played it. I was wondering, is the downtime bad, or is it not too bad at all?
Not
well. I guess everybody is using one of the.
On TTS, it took a while.
Okay.
We took a 30-minute game and made it about 1 hour and 20 minutes because everything takes longer on TTS. I'm sorry,
right.
Tabletop Simulator, just trying to move things around. By the way,
not the game's fault.
Implementation is fantastic. It's an official Restoration Games one. It's fantastic, but everything is slower, Steve.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely.
And one thing I wanted to add too is what's amazing about what Justin and Rob have done is that, we talk about the repeated play, but the replayability is amazing. So even though you may have played, whether you played Red or Beowulf a bunch, every one of the decks feels completely different, whether you're playing Sinbad or Robin Hood or Alice. They all have a different niche to them. And even though there are things that are familiar, you also have a very unique mechanic to it, which I absolutely love about the way that they design, and it's amazing. And I believe with all their partnerships, especially with having Buffy the Vampire Slayer, they have some great IPs up their sleeve, and I can't wait to see what's next.
Yep, and with these two sets, they each have a cool new mechanic. Reds has that basket that you see in her picture, and the basket is sort of a little, I don't want to say push your luck because that's not what it is. It's more of a chaining thing where when you play a card, it's got an extra symbol. And if you can match that symbol with the next card you play, you get some kind of bonus action. That's pretty cool. Yep. I like that, especially if you can set up the combo right. And, Beowulf is not as interesting to me, but a lot of people are going to like it. Beowulf's is all about rage. He's got these 3 or 4 rage tokens. And as he generates rage, either by getting hit or using cards or even having his sidekick accidentally slap him in the face, gets mad, takes a point of damage, and all of a sudden he gets this rage. Beowulf can do 7, 8 points of damage, or even take out a character completely. Just wipe the character off the board with one hit. So that rage thing looks pretty cool. I'm a little bit more inclined to the Reds mechanics, but hey, look, Restoration Games has it going on. I think Unmatched is a game from Restoration Games that we're going to still be talking about 10 years from now. I really do.
Well, just wait till Dark Tower comes out, though.
Oh yeah, I played it. That's a long game, though. I want to see how it is.
Yeah.
I want to see how it is now. Now that they've done that. So that is from Restoration Games. That's just the news. We haven't played it, but that's just the news that came out. But there is a game that I wanted you to talk about, Dan, because you've played it and I've played it. BJ from Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Dan Patriss of the Geek All Stars, and you've played Lost Ruins of Arnak. And can you go anywhere on the internet without somebody talking about this game?
No, probably not. And rightfully so, though. Min and Elwin and CGE have done such an amazing job with this game, because when you first look at it, it has this look that you're like, oh my God, there's just symbols and things everywhere. And what's this deck building? But and this is something not to quote myself a lot, but the thing I say on the Geek All Stars all the time is once you speak the language of certain games, it just everything just makes sense. So I've actually played this solo, and I've also played this with my family. And my family, I like to say they're kind of lighter to medium weight gamers. So I've got my wife, and I've got a 13-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter, and they kind of like games, and we've played like Jaws of the Lion and some other games, but they're still kind of medium weight. And if something's too heavy, they won't like it. But they absolutely loved it. It only took about a half a round and things started just clicking. So the deck building aspect, and I'm a huge deck building fan. I'm an absolutely, a big deck builder. I love Ascension. I've always loved Dominion. I love deck building when it's used as another mechanism for a larger board game. And this is just perfect how they use it here, where it's not overdone and yet not underdone in the same instance. And as being, you're an archaeologist on an island and you're trying to, uncover different ruins or do different dig sites, and then also go up on a research track. All the while you're kind of getting new cards. And now archaeology cards will go directly into your hands when you're, the artifact, I call them archaeology. Right. The artifact cards will go right into your hands where you can use them. And the item cards will go in the bottom of the cards, bottom of your deck that you haven't used yet and haven't put into your hands. So everything is able to be used very quickly. So in other deck building games, usually when you acquire a card, they'll go in your discard pile. Sometimes it takes forever before it cycles into your hand. But this game goes out of its way to make sure that you're getting the fruits of your labor and getting them pretty quickly. I can't stress how much I love this game.
That works unless you do like me and constantly draw fear cards, and then you've got a 30-card deck and you never get any of your cards back out. I played with Alex Goldsmith, and he's thinning his deck like crazy. I've got 700 cards in my deck. Nothing's coming out. He just totally destroyed me. But you hit something. You hit the nail on the head about something, though. This board, it was pretty intimidating, even for a person who loves worker placement games, loves big, beautiful games. There was a lot to look at, Dan. But somehow, within a turn or two, everything made sense. How did they pull that off, Dan?
So there's a certain, and you got to really commend the type of, we all have gaming groups, and there are certain types of people in the world where they're just born to teach games. So it's all about how you teach this game. I think that makes the ease on the newer player, how you ease them into the game. The good thing about this game is, and also you got to remember, the graphic designer did a really good job with this game. So, I mean, you look at it, you can kind of break everything down almost into kind of quadrants on the board. So if you start here, teach this part, start here, teach that part, and you start off with the deck building, explain some of the icons. Sure. Then you start talking about the digging, about the actions you can do. And then you start talking about the cards you can acquire and where they go. And you save that whole research track for last, because by the time you get to the research track, people know what some of those icons are and then what you're really talking about. So, and then once you kind of get through some of that, that's the brilliance of this game, is how everything just all of a sudden fits into place and you have that aha moment. Usually after like one or two actions in your first turn, you're like, everything just makes sense.
Yep. It all made a lot of sense to us as we were playing it. I got crushed, but I could see what all the hype is. If you like worker placement and you like deck building, it's a great smash up. There's another one that people are talking about.
Have you played this one solo at all? I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
The one time me and Alex played it at whatever that online con was a week or two ago. And someone from CGE taught it to us, but that's the only time I haven't played it solo. It's a good solo game.
Oh, absolutely. So it uses kind of an automa, which a lot of games are using now, where it's basically all an automa is basically just a deck of, almost like chits or cards that as you flip them, it tells you what action to do.
Okay.
And they do it comes with a bunch of extra tiles where it's kind of like an easy version and a hard version, and you can kind of ramp it up using different combos of the cards where you don't necessarily have to start all easy. You can kind of ramp yourself up into difficulty a little bit. But as you're playing, it's the typical automa with things where they don't have to use, they have unlimited workers. They don't have to use resources. But as you're going through the automa deck, they're kind of accumulating cards and victory points there. And then you get your turn. So it's more of a kind of a blocking thing and accumulating points. So you're trying to get your points and also trying to get to the spots before they do. But I really do like it quite a bit. It kind of reminds me, it does remind me a little bit of Paladins of the West Kingdom with the automa deck, how kind of as you're flipping things over and the AI is getting in the way.
Steve, what do you think about what you see here? I'm going to tell you that the way we played the game, we played it as Jumanji, the board game, because you're grabbing rhinos and you jump on them and you run as far as you can and try to steal stuff and beat monsters.
I was thinking this was going to be a hotness that I was going to just turn away from, because I can't remember whose video I saw of a review, and it was not taught the way you were describing, Dan. It seemed like a hodgepodge, and I'm thinking there's no way this comes together. Hearing you say that the experience brings it together with gameplay makes me reconsider, because I had tuned out of the hotness on that one, thinking it just seems like it's all over the place.
I think that Dan's right. I think it's if you get a good teach of it, I think this game is pretty intuitive, Dan.
Yeah, and That's like I said, I don't know if everybody usually has that guy or that girl in their group that is the teacher, kind of, grab, and just some people are just born for that. And I tend to be that a lot of times in our group, and especially in my family, I tend to be that. So, I feel bad when you ever have those experiences where you're pretty hyped for a game, or maybe you don't even know about the game, but you read the rules and you bring it to somebody and the game just falls flat. I mean, there's been some games, I've taught the Fleeples, I've taught Matt and Ben a couple of games, and they just hated it within the first round. And you take that to heart because you feel like it's you that did it. Where, I mean, sometimes just some games don't match with some people, but there's just an art form to how you teach. And as I'm reading a rulebook, I kind of try to think, or you kind of watch videos out there to see how other people are teaching it, to try and bring the maximum, maximum fun to your group.
Yeah. It's funny, that was coming up in chat when Beth was bringing up the idea of how do you teach the games. And I can say she's got it just right. She taught us Tzolk'in online by audio only. An achievement in and of itself. That's a great job. An achievement in and of itself, but it was knowledge and attitude that made the teach work.
Beth says she's usually the group teacher because she usually buys the games and brings the games. Yep. That's the default if you've got the games, but that doesn't always make for a good teach sometimes,
Yeah, and sometimes some people just either just love it or just end up with it by default. Like I think a lot of times when we're at Gen Con, Dan Halstead always ends up to be, no matter who owns the game or who brought the game or bought it, we just kind of sit there. Halstead ends up opening up the box and just sits there and reads the rules, and we just go with it as we're playing. He ends up being it. So it's some people just love to dig into that.
Was there anything that fell flat for you at all with the Lost Ruins of Arnak?
I kind of wanted, I don't know, maybe I wanted it longer, but it's a perfect length for what it is. Like I said, it's kind of a lighter to medium weight game. So maybe I just want more of it. But then a lot of times as you're getting to that fifth round, your turns are lasting longer and longer. So any longer, then it's not going to be good. So I don't know if there's anything I don't necessarily, this is I'm like you, Steve, where when the hotness comes out, I'm always reluctant, like, cause everybody loves it. I'm gonna, I don't know if I'm gonna love it, and a lot of people are talking about it being a game of the year contender, but I think this might be, this is a top 5 game of the year for me for sure. Wow. I think this might crack my top couple of spots. I really dig it.
Yep, I really enjoyed it. And that's Lost Ruins of Arnak from CGE. Yep. There's another game. There's one last game before we get to our big game that I wanted to talk about, because you mentioned solo gaming. BJ Game Gumbo, I've got my guest here, Dan Patriss of the Geek All Stars. Steve and I are talking about different games. And look, this year is the year of the solo game. People have to play solo games because of what's going on with COVID-19 or small 2-player games. Steve and I talk about 2-player games all the time. One of the games that has really intrigued me, it's another CGE game. That was done on purpose. They are not
CGE will love you for this.
Yeah. They tell Paul, I'm going to have to show this to Paul, but Under Falling Skies from CGE, I knew nothing about it except for the title. And then I heard somebody say one of the best solo game experiences they played. But I want to know what Dan Patriss has to say about it.
I agree. It is one of the best solo experiences that I've had. And this is a game that is made for solo play. So this was, I believe that the designer won either a solo challenge or a game design challenge at some point. And then I think CGE picked it up.
It was like 18 cards, right? Just a really small game at first. Is that right?
Well, it's just basically dice and things were that I'm trying to think of the best way. It's just basically dice, and you're not really using, I don't even think is any cards in there. I'd have to pull it back up, but it's basically just using dice and the system. Yeah. So basically as you're kind of rolling your dice, and that's a perfect way to put that up there. So as you roll your dice, you have 5 dice. Now, don't worry about the blue die. That kind of comes into the more advanced play. That's a robot. But basically, you have 3 gray and 2 white dice. And so what you're doing is you're trying to get yourself up the research track, which is the left top green track there. Trying to get up the research track before you take too much damage, or before the mothership gets down to there's a kind of a death spot on the top right side there, that as every round the mothership comes down. So you're basically playing Space Invaders the game.
Okay,
is what you're doing. Yeah. So as you roll dice,
game that we used to play, Alex taught it to me at Dice Tower Con. The ships are coming down, and you have to flick. You have to flip
ships. Flip ships.
Flip ships. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So similar to flip ships, but not dexterity based. It's dice based.
Right. So as you put a dice down, so if you notice, there's 5 columns on your little board on the bottom. So you're going to have 5 columns there. When you place a die, depending on what number you place it on, the ships will come down that many spaces. Oh. So sometimes, but the good thing is when you play a white die, no matter what number was on a white die, you roll all the other dice. So you're kind of using that as kind of your re-roll for the round, but you're placing your dice out there. You have to get energy, which is in the bottom left there. Some spots will give you energy. Some spots will let you shoot down the alien ships. So you have to put a certain number, higher number there, and you're trying to kind of maneuver the ships. So since you know how far the ships are going to come down, you know what spots they're going to end up at. Some spots are able to be shot down. Some spots are going to spawn more ships. Some spots are going to move them to the left or to the right in the different columns. So you can kind of set things up. And again, you're also trying to set things up for later rounds because you have to get energy. You also have to get higher numbers on the research track, because the research track doesn't just go from like 1 to 11. It has variable numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And you have different spots. Then sometimes you have double spots where you can get higher numbers and you can go up the amount of research a little bit higher, because the last spot on the research track, I believe, is an 11. So you have to use one of those double spots because the dice have to add up to how many spots, how much strength of spots you're moving up.
What a juicy decision. If you can't just go all out throwing 6s all over the place, because then all of a sudden the invaders are their speed, right?
Yep. And you really have to watch it. So sometimes you may throw a 6 out there on purpose to get a ship to a spot that you can blow them out of the sky where that has a number where it puts them at risk. And then you've got to get another die on an area where it's going to have, the cannons, and you have to have a certain die number. And then you're also kind of what they're called excavating. If you see in the picture, there's a kind of a little orange kind of bulldozer there. Now, when you put it, you can only put like one of your dice past it. It has to be a certain amount of spaces depending on the die. And then once you excavate things, you can then use those spots. So it starts you can only use limited amount of spots early, but then you have to pay a little bit of energy as you use the dice and the excavator to unlock better spots on your little board. So it's constantly, it's not just a set thing which may be solvable. You actually have to make hard decisions there. There's also spots up top, which are just kind of, I wouldn't say wasted spots, but they give you a -1 on the die. So if you just have where you really can't do anything, because you can only put 1 die in each one of these columns from top to bottom. So that's another major decision you have to make.
A game like this to me is going to have to play quickly, because you're going to want to play this a couple of times. If it takes too long, then if you mess up, you spend all that time and now you've lost.
It's legit 20 to 30 minutes at most. And they do have there's actually kind of like a little campaign in there that you can play as well. You can just play a regular old game, and they have different cities that you can play with, just kind of your base game. But there is a campaign where it's got like 4 scenarios or 4 chapters to it. And each chapter has 2 different games that you'll play. So you'll play the campaign over 8 scenarios. But each one of these little the scenarios, there are kind of, I want to say they're spoiler things, so I'm not going to talk about anything, but there are things, you kind of shuffle things up and you're making a couple of stacks, and then you're choosing a stack kind of either at random or decide by the city, and then you put the other ones out. So each time you play it, it's going to be a little bit different, and then kind of a story kind of erupts from there. But if you 20, 30 minutes, I played this the other night, I played it 3 times and just blink of an eye, because sometimes it just plays really quickly, and even making decisions. I mean, I think I played 3 times in an hour, and absolutely, I was really floored, because I don't like to call myself a solo gamer, but more and more, especially the time of COVID, and you're not able to get your game groups together, and sometimes your family's busy. I just find myself playing solo games, or games that can be played solo.
What do you think, Steve? This looks interesting. I'm telling you, got me
interesting. When Topher, I think, said Space Invaders, that was the first thing that popped into my mind. Do you think this system would lend itself to recreating some other old 80s video games? Could you do like a Missile Command with this, a Galaga with this?
Oh, probably. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Galaga is basically just Space Invaders. I mean, you'd probably have to make it a little quicker.
Spirals.
Yeah, that's right.
But with up and down motion.
But yeah, using this system, this is a very intuitive system. I think you could possibly even get, in Centipede, which would be kind of more of a left to right. You can do something like that as well. Yeah. And this is it's a solid system.
Bringing in my old buddy, Alex Goldsmith of Duke's Dice. What's up, Alex?
Howdy. Didn't mean to interrupt. It sounded like a good game.
Well, the reason I brought you in early is because you taught me Flip Ships at Dice Tower Con 2017. We played that game a lot that weekend. This seems like a similar system without the dexterity. What do you think? Without the dexterity.
I mean, I was busy grabbing this beer.
Okay, what you drinking? What are you drinking tonight?
A copy of Heartthrob, which may or may not be a spoiler.
Nice. Nice.
So I missed about half of the explanation. From visual appearance, it looked a lot like Flip Ships. I have a feeling I don't know the system at all. I have no idea. I'm not going to talk out my butt. I don't know.
It's Flip Ships without 4 players and with no dexterity.
Cool. Then basically, it's another spaceship themed game. Excellent.
Good job, Flip Ships at all. Oh, interesting. All right, so that is Under Falling Skies from CGE. It gets a big thumbs up from Dan.
Oh, absolutely, big thumbs up. You know what also gets big thumbs up? I'm gonna hijack this for a second, BJ. Is the Blues' chances next year? I think they get a big thumbs up too.
I think so too. Look, Krug is not Pietrangelo, but our power play should improve a little bit. And hey, don't
I'm turning this into the Geek All Stars. Sorry.
It's a 3.5 hour show. If you get Alex,
and you were talking about coming from La Crosse, Long Island. How can you be talking Blues instead of the Isles?
Oh, I love the Isles. Don't get me wrong. I just knew that Alex was a huge Blues fan, and I actually have an old school Brett Hull jersey from the Blues from that year they wore the 75th anniversary patches. I think it was back in like 93 or 94. That it's one of my prized possessions is the Brett Hull. Brett Hull is one of my favorite players of all time. So
we're losing the chat crew already. Look at this.
Hey, look, Don's into it. That's all we need. We just need Don. That's it.
So
I'm sorry, BJ.
Dan's got the dress. Look at how he's dressed, man. Perfect. I fully expected some of you. I've got a game at least with me, Christmas lights. So I've got sort of a Christmas theme going here.
Nice. Stockings.
Oh, she does. And Steve's got a big blank yellow mustard colored
I've got Christmas cheer.
Oh,
there you go.
Christmas, I like that. So, Steve, why have I gathered Dan and Alex here tonight?
It's a good question, BJ, because I don't know what you've made, and I'm imagining that we're going to be asking ourselves the exact same thing in 10 minutes. Why did we all come here for this?
So you know the rules of the game. What are we playing tonight, Steve?
So you want to do Heartthrob, right?
We are doing Heartthrob, not Alex's version. We're doing
no. I think what we got set is that we're going to do BJ's version of Heartthrob.
Yeah, so let me
3 rounds, right?
I'm going to go down to audio and let Steve give a quick overview of the game.
Now, it remains to be seen if BJ's thrown a curveball. Well, no, it does not remain to be seen. He's thrown a curveball. We just don't know where it's coming from. He's going to have 3 rounds of some sort where there'll be a game that we have to, first of all, start with a game. And he'll give us a choice of 4 different games, I think.
3.
And we'll have to imagine, I'll have to say what I would play of those games. You guys will have to do the same. And then we'll have to try and guess what the others would play too. All right. And then in round 2, he's going to keep the same games and throw an extra wrinkle in there. It might be, well, what are you going to drink with that game? And then we have to do the whole thing all over again. You might change your thoughts as to, well, that was a great game, but paired with that whiskey, I think I'm jumping ship. We'll do the same thing for 3 rounds and essentially guessing everybody's choices, including with one last round at each one of them. We'll have to try and guess what the chat's going to pick too. So if we will be seeing public chat. We might need to go to host chat so we don't see their choices while they're making their picks too.
Steve, we're losing the chat crew. They're talking about the Preds. They're talking about the Stars. What is going on over here, man?
The Stars had a nice run. That was a heck of a goaltending performance. Without Ben Bishop, you didn't think they would have had a chance, but it was a heck of a run in the bubble. And no asterisk there. That was tough hockey. Now,
all
Dan,
right.
since this has now become the hockey show, what do you think of the reverse retros?
Steve,
we just sum them up.
They have the Whalers. I love the Whalers one with the Canes. The only thing I was upset about is the Islanders. I didn't notice any difference, being from any of their jerseys from years and years. But I think almost all of them are look great. I mean, they're going to sell like hotcakes.
Just no Gorton's fishing.
Yes, I agree.
Move past it, but we don't speak.
No,
of
not
those
at all.
times.
We're going to get back to our little game here tonight. Steve, there is a wrinkle that they do have to also figure out what the chat crew is going to be playing. Right?
Yep. Okay. In each round, we're going to end with trying to guess what the chat has to figure out too. But we're not going to be watching that. If you guys can see up in the top right corner, turn off public chat and go to host chat so we won't see what they're saying. And we'll have to, in each of those 3 rounds, guess everybody else's. Whichever you get right, you get a point for. Sum them up at the end.
So as Steve said, this is going to be the Heartthrob. It's the board game version of it. And what we're going to be doing is picking a game and then a little something with a twist and a little something with a twist. You know, and one of those twists, obviously, Steve knows that I always like to put in a group. For instance, Dan, it would have been easy for you if it was just me and you playing, because I know immediately this is the group that you'd probably want to play.
Yes, I would love to play games with that group.
So would I. It's a crew from NCIS New Orleans.
Yep.
And that would have been your perfect crew. That is not going to be one of the crews tonight, but that would have been the crew if Alex wasn't on the show, because I don't think Alex has ever seen NCIS New Orleans.
No, have not. Sorry.
Sorry. All right. So let's get started with the game. In honor of Dan Patriss coming with his Christmas outfits on, let's play the Christmas version of Heartthrob, the board game. All right.
Oh, no.
So I'm going to give you 3 choices here. We're going to start out with a game. And the 3 choices of the game, of course, are Elf. Right? A little small game called Elf, based on the movie with, oh my God, I forgot his name.
Will Ferrell.
Right, yeah. So Elf is one choice. Your second choice is, of course, a Dan Patriss Geek All Stars favorite, Santa's Workshop. Yeah. See, I listen to the show, Dan. I listen to it a lot.
Santa's Workshop. Santa's Workshop.
I do not. I need to get it. And the last one, of course, you can't play Christmas Heartthrob without Die Hard, the board game. Gotta have 3 Christmas movies. We've got Elf, Santa's Workshop, and Die Hard, the board game. All right. So what is our job? You got to figure out which game you want to play out of those 3, and which game Steve, Alex, me, and the chat crew all want to play. That makes sense? All right. Don't look at what the chat crew is saying.
Yep.
Don't look at what the chat crew is saying, and you figured out. I think I know Dan's already, so I'm gonna mark that one down. Let's see, chat crew. Chat crew might be the toughest one there.
Yeah.
You got some ideas for that, Alex?
I have a guess, but it's based on my own bias. So it's almost like the one I want to play most, I'm sort of projecting onto the chat crew without even seeing them. So
I like it. Yeah. I think it's a good idea. All right. Let me know when you're ready.
If they showed up to see you, Alex, they would show up to play the game you want to play?
I don't know. I hope so.
Oh, Nick says, I think I've seen one hockey game in my entire 41 years. I don't know what to say about that, Nick. I can tell you, I've seen plenty of Ice Gators games. That's the Louisiana Ice Gators. All right.
That's a pretty good name, though. The first team I ever loved was the Orlando Solar Bears, which featured the coolest logo ever. It was a polar bear with sunglasses on.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. You can always count on minor league hockey to just have amazing names.
Yeah.
The Huntsville Havoc. Love that. That's some good ones.
Well, I don't know if anybody in Georgia remembers the Macon Whoopie. Actually, Macon Whoopie would be good too, but Macon Whoopie was a great name for a minor league hockey team.
That's solid.
Best Whalers player ever, Bob Marley. Is that right?
I guess there was a guy named Bob Marley. I mean, of course you have to go with Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe is the best Whalers player probably ever.
Yeah, you would think, right?
But yeah, I mean, there probably was a guy named Bob Marley. I believe it. I have to look that up.
All right, so
did Gordie Howe finally play in his 50s with the Whalers? Was that
Yeah, he actually faced off across from Wayne Gretzky when he was in his 50s.
Jeez.
Unreal.
All right, so what do we got? Let's start out with Dan. Dan, what you got? Who you voting on what?
Well, so you want me to give you all 4?
You'll have to keep track of your own score. Steve, so he's going to give all but his.
He can say all but his own, right?
Oh, okay. So I think Steve and BJ are both going to play Elf. And I think the chat is going to play Die Hard. And I think Alex is also going to play Die Hard.
Okay.
Interesting.
So how do we do that? Do we'd say right away whenever he says it? I think
we should we'll score it in the middle.
Well, and we'll do our on our honor.
Yeah, we'll do it on your honor. That's fine.
I've written mine down, so
I have two.
I'm on it. All right, you want to do them all and then score up?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, Steve, what you got?
I have BJ, you and Dan playing Santa's Workshop, Alex playing Die Hard, and the chat playing Elf.
Interesting. All right, Alex, what you got?
So I had Dan playing Santa's Workshop, Steve playing Santa's Workshop, BJ playing Santa's Workshop, the chat playing Die Hard.
Interesting. I went with the chat crew playing Elf, which was probably a mistake. I did have Dan playing Santa's Workshop. Apparently, we all think you played Santa's Workshop. I had Steve playing Santa's Workshop, and Alex, just for the twist, I figured you might want to play Die Hard, the board game, just for that twist.
All right.
All right. So let's do some reveals. Dan, what did you decide?
Well, of course, I picked Santa's Workshop. I couldn't cheat and not pick Santa's Workshop. I do love that game by Keith Ferguson. It's an excellent game by Rio Grande Games. Everybody should look for it. Great stocking. Well, not stocking stuffer. It's kind of in a Ticket to Ride box. So it's not a stocking stuffer, but it is an excellent gift.
Okay.
I hope the check is in the mail, Keith.
Nice. Looks like the chat crew has 1 for Elf, 1 for Die Hard, 2 for Die Hard, 1 for Santa, 2 for Elf, 3 for Die Hard, 3 for Elf, 2 for Santa's Workshop. Looks like a tie between Elf and Die Hard.
Oh, okay. We're gonna do half points, or do you want to do a whole point for each?
Half point.
Okay.
Yep. Oh no, Nick Hayes with the late vote for Elf. So
there we go.
There
That's
goes
the
my
stuff,
point.
Nick.
I'll take it.
That is the stuff.
I will take
it. Stop the count.
Stop the count. We're dead right there. All right. So Steve, what'd you do?
Knowing none of these, I went with the only one that we watch every year, which is Elf.
Nice.
Oh, he went with Elf. Oh, he got me on that one.
I did.
Alex, was I right? Are you a Die Hard fan?
That is one of the rare movies I have seen.
I went with that. I figured it was new enough that Alex knows that movie.
I do know that movie, and that was my pick, Die Hard.
All right.
Yes. And I picked Elf because I absolutely it's one of the few Will Ferrell movies that I like. That one and the one where he's the sportscaster. So
Anchorman.
Okay.
Anchorman. I do like that one. Stay classy, San Diego. Yep.
Stay classy, San
All
Diego.
right. So first round.
Scotch.
Oh, Steve, what did you pick?
I picked Elf.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay. I missed that one. So I got 3 points. Anybody else?
I got 3.
I think I got 3 too. I got the chat wrong, but
Uno.
All right.
Alex
Here we go.
Closer. Alex is a closer, though.
Moving into round 2. So, Dan, the way this works, you've got your game, and the games are going to stay the same. But we need a snack to eat with those games. Some good Christmas snacks. There's not going to be any Cheetos because there's no Cheetos allowed at my game table.
Oh,
What's that first Christmas snack? Of course, it's Long Island style pizza, but with Christmas decorations. Christmas pizza. A little pepperoni candy cane. I'm not sure what is on that tree. Spinach, maybe?
That's probably a spinach.
Yeah, it looks like spinach.
Yeah.
And Red Hots?
Or tomatoes.
Oh, yeah, probably tomatoes.
Well, probably.
Well, or actually, are those peppers? Or pieces of pepper?
No, I think those are tomatoes.
All right. Remember,
they look like red chiclets.
Probably Chat, because Chat Crew, we need you to decide.
I think they're azul pieces.
Maybe so.
Is it you or am I going to have to be offended on behalf of Long Island here, Dan?
Oh no, that certainly isn't. That pizza's way too thin to be. Not enough crust on that to be a good Long Island.
In honor of Long Island, I picked pizza. But the second one is Santa's Workshop with some sugar cookies and bourbon, right? Because Santa needs some sugar cookies and bourbon. Got to leave that out. I think that's Wood. I think that's Woodbridge, maybe.
No, Woodford's more squared off.
Okay. So Santa's Workshop with cookies and bourbon. And the third one, of course, Die Hard with some Long Island Christmas bagels.
Oh.
Christmas bagels from Long Island.
I do miss a good bagel.
This one I think is from Long Island. I'm not positive, but I'm pretty
Does it have to be that bagel from Long Island?
It's got to be a Christmas bagel.
It has to be the Christmas bagel.
Oh, it has to be the Christmas bagel.
Yeah, it's that one.
Yeah. I think bets are off on that one.
All right. So you got Elf with Christmas pizza, Santa's Workshop with the cookies and the bourbon, or Die Hard with Long Island Christmas bagels. It's got to be Christmas bagels. What are we going with this one? It sounded like Dan didn't like that pizza very much. Didn't appreciate the pizza. And by the way, Dan, you could switch your answers, even though you went with Santa's Workshop.
True.
It's the combination
Mix it up.
for.
Okay.
It's the combination that we're looking for. Let's see what we got here. Steve, trying to figure you out there, Steve.
I think I'm pretty easy on this one.
I am locked in. I'm locked in. Let's see what we got here. Everybody's locked in? How are we looking?
Yep, I'm all locked in.
Let me just get something real quick and see if I have this. Oh yeah, of course I had it at the bottom. I messed up the picture order. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's get back to the guessing. We started with Dan last time. So Steve, what you got?
All right. I'm gonna guess for who's doing what here.
Yeah.
I have Dan and Alex both for Santa and the bourbon. I have the chat for Elf and Pizza, and I think BJ is going to join them with Elf and Pizza.
Interesting.
I was tempted to think that there was something about that bagel that if it spins, it would be kind of hypnotizing, kind of like the flashback scene. I thought it might have mesmerized him, but I decided to stick with the pizza on that one.
Alex?
So I went with Dan sticking with Santa's Workshop. I don't think there was anything that would deter him. The bourbon only helps, if anything. Steve, I think you switched to Santa's Workshop because of the bourbon. BJ, you're still with Elf, despite that very gross-looking pizza. Chat Krewe, I think, moved over to Santa's Workshop just based on the quality of the treat alone, I think, is what does it there.
Good. That's a strong argument, Dan. I'm not so sure it's correct, but Dan, what you got?
So, although the pizza does not look that appetizing, I actually switched on over to the pizza because, unfortunately, not that I judge anybody. I'm just not a bourbon guy. Like the idea of drinking bourbon is just not up my alley. So I would rather have so-so pizza than drink bourbon, as much as I know people love it. So I apologize to anybody that likes bourbon. I also went with the chat with the pizza, and I believe it's Elf and the Pizza. And then I have everybody else with the bourbon. Alex, Steve, and BJ all with the bourbon. Because nobody should be eating that bagel. I got news for you.
I messed that up. I thought for sure Dan was going with the bagel. It's so festive and it matches his shirt. But I had Alex with the Christmas pizza. I'm regretting that very, very much. And then I had Chat Krewe, Steve, and myself all with the bourbon, because I think the combination of bourbon with a good game like Santa's Workshop, I think is going to entice the Chat Krewe. Let's switch over to see what they got. Oh God, they did not like the bagel at all. Oh wow, Steve, you want to
BJ, there is not enough bourbon to justify that bagel.
Yes, I agree.
That is unacceptable.
Okay, can somebody count the votes, because they did not like this bagel at all.
Let me peek.
Oh wow. Let's see. Red bell peppers. What we got here? All right. So starting up there right after Jordan's comment.
Oh, I got to go back and look at it on the.
Yeah. Let's see. All right. So here we go. We got. Oh, Luke thinks it's bullet bourbon. That might.
That's what I thought too.
All right. So Verla.
Did everybody reveal? I don't know that we all revealed yet.
Yeah,
I don't know. Said who I guessed.
I went with the bourbon.
Okay.
Dan, you went with the pizza. Steve, what'd you go with?
I went with the Santa's Workshop and the bourbon, and I can give somebody else the cookies.
I figured that out. Alex?
I'm going to get a lot of crap for this, but I went with the bagel. I'm going to take a plunge into that bagel. I'm more of a savory snacker, and I was actually more grossed out by that weird-looking pizza than I was by the weird bagel. And I'm an adventurous eater. Look, I've tried any number of crazy things. I've tried silkworms. I've tried scorpions. I've tried whale. I've tried all sorts of crazy, bizarre things. That bagel is nothing.
All right, I got 3 votes for pizza, 4 votes for pizza, 2 for the bourbon, 1 for the bagel. I'm going to give it to the pizza, I think, man. So 5 votes for the pizza. Wow.
Man.
I think Beth was too gross to vote. No, Beth said that she had to go, I guess, with the elf and the Christmas pizza.
Yeah.
She did not like the choices.
Nice.
We did have a couple of votes for the bagel, though, so don't feel so bad. Look, Nick said Team Duke Alex.
Thank you.
Man.
Nick Hayes, one of the Dutchy representatives.
I thought, Alex, that pizza, I was totally wrong on that. I had you with the Santa and bourbon. I would have gone with pizza next. Seeing as how that was maybe like a crackery crust, maybe that's a St. Louis Pro-Vel thing there.
Hang on. Just because I'm here now doesn't mean I approve remotely of St. Louis style pizza. Let's be clear.
And just because that bagel exists on Long Island doesn't mean that anyone on Long Island is actually buying one.
That's fair.
I don't even know what they could possibly have put together to make that bagel.
Oh, Topher says, surprise, Alex, it's Play-Doh.
Oh, okay. Then I regret my decisions and moving on the bourbon next. That pizza to me looks way grosser than anything else on there.
Well, the only way that pizza could not be too bad is if it's kind of like a flatbread, kind of a wood. I'm picturing it as a wood oven pizza, like one of the, or brick oven pizza is what I'm picturing that as.
I think you're giving it too much credit.
You're a charitable man, Dan. I
think you're right.
Looking for the pizza half full.
A pizza half full. I like it. All right. So here we go. Next one up. Yeah, Mick. I think Mick has it right. It's a scary bagel. We're going to move on, Mick.
How we doing the points here?
Pizza half full, but the crust half stuffed.
Yeah, that's true too.
I don't know if I got anybody right. Let's see. Oh, no, Steve, you went with bourbon.
I got the bourbon, yeah.
The Chat Krewe went with pizza, right? No, or bourbon. No, bourbon, right? What did we say?
I think they went with elf and pizza, you said, right?
Yeah.
I hope so, because that's the only point I got.
So Chat went with pizza. 2 of you guys went with bourbon, and Alex went with the bagel, actually.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow. I got only 1 point that one. I got
me too.
Steve with the workshop. That's it.
I got three on that one.
Wow. All right.
I got another one. I'm not going to win this game.
Alex
as bad as I did the last time we were on, I finished way in last the last time. Whew.
Alex, you got to run the table with this. Alex only has 2 points. Dan's got 5 now. 4.
I've got 6.
He's got 6.
Oof.
Steve's got.
I'm at 4.
And I have only 4 points. Ooh,
yep.
Dan's killing us. This is he's channeling Andrew Buckles right here. With,
That's right.
A big runaway win here. All right, so switch back to host chat, and let's go with the third and final category. Now, Dan, we've got the game, sticking with the same ones. We've got the snacks, some of them better than others, and then we've got the group to play with. And no, it's not NCIS. No.
Oh, I want the NCIS crew. Give me pride.
Oh, I did have the pictures in order. Oh, look at this. I did have them right. Okay, so you were supposed to pick A, B, or C, so make it easy. All right, here we go. First up, of course, Christmas music, Dan, just like we talked about for 15 minutes while the show was not working. You're going to play with three Christmas singers: Nat King Cole, Harry Connick Jr., of course, and Mariah Carey. 3 beautiful choices, 3 classic singers. Who wouldn't want to play a board game with those 3? Second choice, of course. Can anybody identify these, Alex?
That's the kid who wants to be a dentist.
What's his name?
I don't know his name.
His name is Hermie.
Hermie! Yes!
His name is Hermie.
Hermie wants to be a dentist.
Do you remember what his buddy's name, the guy that keeps looking for silver and gold?
Pete? No, I don't.
It's Yukon Cornelius.
Yukon Cornelius, yeah.
Cornelius. Oh, man. Good callback. All right, so first up, of course, the singers. Second, of course, you've got Hermie and Rudolph. I don't think this will be a dexterity game. And number 3, of course, the Mandalorian and the child. I don't want to say the name. I don't want to spoil it yet, Dan. Just in case.
Okay, I won't say the name.
Let's not spoil it. No spoilers. The Mandalorian and the child. Those are your 3 choices. You're going to be playing Elf with Christmas pizza and musicians. Wouldn't Abby have so much fun with this game?
Oh, my goodness.
Santa's Workshop with cookies and bourbon. Hermie and Rudolph. Don't they make thematic sense, Steve? And then Die Hard with a Die Hard bagel and the Mandalorian and the child. Those are your choices. What have we got here?
This is to celebrate Christmas. I got a question, BJ. Can I convert?
Yes.
I mean,
yes. The answer is yes. All right, A, B, or C. Pick A, B, or C. What do you got? I'm thinking about the answers that Alex and Dan gave last round. How is that going to affect it? Oh, this is a
good God.
This is surprisingly hard.
This is awful.
Tough one. Wow. Tough one. Oh, I think Dan's going to do it. He doesn't want to, but I think he's going to do it.
I'm already locked in, so I'm not changing anything.
Look me in the eye, Dan. I think you did it. All right. What is, I just can't think about what the chat crew would do with this. Who would the chat crew want to play board games with? Oh, man. I'm going to switch my answer. I'm going to change. All right, here we go. All right, I'm locked in. Anybody else?
I'm
all locked in.
Steve?
I don't like any of them, but yeah.
All right, let's check out the public chat here. What do we got here? Yeah, I figured that Mondo is pretty popular because he loves the child so much. Beth wants a lot more explanation for this game. I'm sorry. It's what you see on the screen. That's it. This is a Milton Bradley game, right, Alex? I mean, there's just not a lot of rules. It's just
I think just to be polite, Beth, you have to have at least one bite of whatever the snack is.
I would say how about half? I want to see Beth have to struggle through half that bagel.
Oof.
Mick says,
I thought you were nice, Dan. I thought you were nice.
Mick, I am on your team with the Nat King Cole. Can't get enough of Nat King Cole.
This is what I'm counting on, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan says Mondo and the child, and he doesn't care what the game is. That's what I'm counting on. So somebody's gonna have to count up those votes while we talk. Let's go to Alex. It's your turn. Give us your guesses. Who's who? What's what?
I think I messed this up real bad, and I've messed up this whole game real bad, and so this is an understatement here.
Hey, no pressure, but this is the most important decision you make all day.
Clearly, I have Dan sticking with not sticking with Santa's Workshop, but going back to Santa's Workshop. He seems to have a high nostalgia factor for that show, so I think there's a good chance he comes home and the bourbon doesn't put him off too much. He has a little sip and then he's okay. Steve, I also have sticking with kind of the nostalgia factor of the bourbon. I think that overrides some of the other things at play here. I could be wrong. BJ is all about the Mandalorian is tempting, but I think the singers keep BJ with Elf. I have that as my guess. And then Chat Krewe, I guess that the popularity of the Mandalorian might be enough to sway them.
Mm-hmm.
So I guessed C for them.
I'm telling you, Alex might have a clean sweep here. I'm telling you, that's some good logic. Dan, is he right?
Yeah.
No. I just can't do whiskey or bourbon. I just can't do any of that stuff. I just can't do it. Also, Nat King Cole, he may be on a list of if we're talking about Christmas people I want to have dinner with, Nat King Cole would probably be on that list. I'm one of the few people who I absolutely love the Mariah Carey song. I mean, a lot of people hate it. Too. And I want to say James Gordon, I think he does the thing every year with the carpool karaoke where he gets everybody, they kind of mash it all together. It's absolutely great. It's very cool to find on YouTube. And I think Harry Connick Jr. would be the coolest guy to have a beer with. So I stuck with Elf. And the A with Elf the pizza and there. I think Alex, I have Alex moving over to C because of the Mandalorian, but I think I was wrong on that one. I think Steve and BJ are just sticking with the bourbon, no matter what. Sticking with B. And the chat is going with the Mandalorian.
Solid choices.
That's pretty solid. Steve, what you got?
I have Alex and the chat sticking with the bagel and the Mandalorian. And I had Dan with Elf Pizza and the musicians. And for the record, I'm right there with them with Elf Pizza and the musicians. I moved back from the bourbon to Elf and Pizza and the musicians. There are musicians. Okay. I went back to the musicians. There are two for each of the other choices. There is an absolute hard no in all of them. Rudolph, Hermie, and Yukon Cornelius could have saved it, but it was just Rudolph and Hermie. That's just absolutely dead in the water. And that bagel is still an aberration. It does not matter if the Mandalorian is there. It does not matter if the child is there. I would rather eat the frog spawn.
I feel like the child would
I would
cheat.
rather eat the frog spawn than that bagel.
Steve, this is my favorite comment. I will eat the Play-Doh peppermint bagel to play with Mondo and the child.
Yeah, I hear you. I get it.
Are you killing me?
Yeah. And BJ, I went back with the musicians again. I agree with Dan's perception on that one. And what music brought you back?
Yeah, Alex, you hit the nail on the head. I'm not if Harry Connick Jr. is at BGG Con and there's one seat open, and you're telling me that the King is there and Mariah is also there, there's no way I'm passing up that thing. We're gonna be singing songs all night. So yeah, I went with Elf with the Christmas pizza and the musicians. I thought Alex would also go with that because of the musicians. I didn't figure Steve for that. I had Steve with the bourbon, and I had Dan with the bagels and the Mandalorian. I can't believe you would walk by that. Table,
and I
Dan.
had to. I just couldn't do it. I feel like the child would cheat in any game we play. He'd be moving the pieces around on the board for the Die Hard when we were playing, even though it's a co-op game. Oh no, it's a one versus many, isn't it? Die Hard one versus many.
It is a one versus many. That's right. With the flip board, you play one side and then you flip the board on the other side. Oh, so
what did you take, Alex? I don't remember if we heard yours.
I haven't. I don't know if Mondo and the child will be that fun to play with. If I'm honest, and that bagel was enough to kind of keep me there. But I think just in terms of pure gameplay enjoyment experience, I'm okay having a little sip of bourbon and trying out the Santa's Workshop game. I don't know.
Oh, it's really good.
No.
When I flipped over to that. That's where I'm
gonna go. I might go over in this round.
You're skipping the pizza and the musicians?
Yeah. I don't like that pizza that much. And of the musicians, I don't really know Harry Connick Jr. that well.
Oh my God.
And actually an exceptional actor too, as well, Harry Connick Jr.
Really? I mean, he was one of the best things that ever happened to Cheers.
Never saw Cheers.
He was only on for like 1 or 2 episodes as Woody's cousin, I think, from New Orleans, right?
Something I think so.
All right, so wait a minute. So I missed Alex. Steve, you went with the Rudolph? No.
I went with Elf pizza.
Yep, he went with the musicians.
I can choke down that pizza if I can get to hang out with those musicians.
Wow, I think I got all of them wrong, unless Steve, have you totaled up the chat?
Oh, I haven't looked at the chat. I haven't looked at the chat. I'm thinking
that's my only savior. I might go Kono Yo in this last round. Nothing.
I have to go back and look at them all.
Let's see. What do you think? Anybody know what we have here?
What are you seeing here?
Yep. Verla says she's with you, not having fun playing with Mondo and the child. I don't know if that would be fun.
Oh, I can't scroll back up on this.
Oh,
I can't imagine the chat not being the Mando.
Yeah,
I thought that was a slam dunk that people would deal with the bagel.
Topher says Alex is losing because he liked the bagel. That was the killer. All right.
So you want to know something else, BJ?
What's that?
Mariah Carey is from Long Island. She's from Huntington, right by where my parents live right now.
I did not know that.
Yep.
All right, so I see 2 for the musicians. I see another one for the musicians.
Interesting.
1, 2 for the Mandalorian, 3 for the Mandalorian. Although somebody is cheating and putting the name in there. 4 for the Mandalorian. 4 for the musicians. Oh nope! Here we go. Another one for the men. I think it's Mandalorian. I think they got it.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it looks like the Mandalorian. So I did get, wow, I got 1 point in that last round. All right, how do we do? Total it up.
I got a total of 7, but unless Dan really blew it in that last round, I think he's
blew it in the last round. I have 7 also, so I had 1 in the last round because I only got the chat right. Everybody else wrong.
I only got 5. Alex, 4. Oh, okay.
Heartthrob.
I did not come out last. Now, no. Jordan says Mondo and the Child would have a good competition if you brought in the 3 Hamus. In our last episode, we found a picture of Hamu, who's the artist behind Hoop Gods, and he had done this thing where he was in the picture 3 times. So he said you had to play a game with all 3 of the Hamus at the same time. So that's fun. Yep. Oh yeah. So Harry Connick Jr. You need to check that out. What album would any of you guys recommend? I would go with When Harry Met Sally, or
I was going to say that exactly.
Or any of the Christmas music. By the way, the very first Christmas, Alex, go get this album. Go get When My Heart Finds Christmas. Go get it. Play it. You're going to play it all Christmas season. It's phenomenal. Dan, you have a Harry Connick reference? No.
Well, actually, check out. I'm trying to remember what the name of the movie was. It was kind of like a horror thriller. I believe it was Harry Connick Jr. was in a movie with Sigourney Weaver, and she was kind of a shut-in. She had agoraphobia, and she was kind of she's one of these psychologists that could solve murders and stuff. And it was called Copycat, because a bunch of copycat murders.
I did see that.
He was in jail playing just a nut job, and was trying to kind of helping her solve the murders. It was actually, and he plays a real good nut job.
All right, Alex, tell everybody how can they find you if and thanks for playing again for the Heartthrob.
Sure.
You're always our go-to guy for the Heartthrob if ever you're available. How do people find you?
You're better off following Sean. I don't post that much, but at AlexG_human on Twitter, at Dukes of Dice. Come join our Board Game Geek Guild number 2008, or listen to folks who actually are worth listening to. I don't know. Take your pick. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. Yep. You got limited time on this planet. Maybe you're not even commuting anymore. Not listening to podcasts. Do your thing, man.
True.
Yeah. No, check out the last episode. It's fantastic. You guys did a great job covering the thing. The interview kind of weak, but the review was fantastic.
Wow.
No, to quote Mick now, from House of Afros, Capes, and Curls, shots fired. Shots fired.
No, absolutely. Both sides are fantastic. That was a really fantastic interview with Justin. His ice cream choice was a little strange, but I'll go with
strange.
That. Yeah.
And if folks, I hope Hoppin' Johnny catches on, just for Justin's sake.
Yeah, this show was Hoppin' Johnny. I'll tell you, we had to hurry up. The show.
Johnny, you always packed. Yeah, you were busy for sure.
All right, Alex, I'm going to send you down to the green room. Thanks for playing the Heartthrob, man.
See you, bud.
Steve, that was a good session of Heartthrob, man.
It was.
Some tough choices there, Dan.
Oh, that's a good game. They were tough choices. You run a hard ship, man.
That was some absolutely tough choices. All right, so that was our game time presented by our own board game cards, the Bure cards that you can pick up. Just go over to the gamecrafter.com, look for Board Game Gumbo, and you can find the Gumbo Live playing cards. It's our first ever Gumbo merchandise, Dan. Unlike you've got all the T-shirts, beautiful T-shirts, which, by the way, I saw were on sale on Amazon right now.
Yes, they are. I believe they're, what are they, $12.97 or $14.97?
$13.47 for some beautiful Geek All Stars shirts.
And you can find them, linked on the geekallstars.com or in our show notes if you go check out our show notes as well.
All right, Board Gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. Hey, Dan, how can people reach you if they have some questions about the Geek All Stars or about Gamer for Cures?
Well, you can actually tweet me at GeekJockBlog, and yes, I need to change that one of these days. It's just so hard to find. I wanted GeekJock, but some guy tweeted it like twice 15 years ago. So and they don't ever let him replace it. So I'm at GeekJockBlog because I had done a blog before I even did a podcast. But we're also at the Geek All Stars, which I do monitor that as well. We're going to record tomorrow night. The Geek All Stars. We're talking to Grant Lyon. He does a lot of kind of reviews and such now. He's a comedian. We're going to have him on a show. We're also going to have David Waybright on as well with myself and Chris. And we're going to do a cereal draft, guys.
Ooh.
Cereal draft.
Serial killers?
No, just just straight breakfast cereals.
How deep do you have to go in the cereal draft?
I don't know. We're going to be 16.
Wait,
it's a 4-round draft with 4 guys, so it's 16 picks. So.
What's Reese's? What's Reese's in that one? Is it Captain
I don't
Crunch?
know.
It's
I don't
Captain
know if there is
Crunch.
a Reese's because you know what? A famous former guest of Board Game Gumbo once said, "Nobody knows nothing about nothing." As Matt Riddle always says.
Yeah.
Yep. Nobody knows nothing about nothing, so you just never know what people are going to vote. So it's a hard one.
It's Captain Crunch first round. I'm telling you, Dan.
So I have the 4th pick, so I may have to do the Captain Crunch. I want to give away in case Kirkman is lurking somewhere out there.
You have the first pick. You guys do a snake?
No, we do. I did the 4th pick. We do a snake.
Okay, you do a
snake.
So
I do. Yes, so I get
who's
4 and 5.
drafting irrelevant cereal?
I believe that is. Oh, I have the notes right here. So it goes. David will have the first and the last pick.
Okay, so Mr. Cereal irrelevant.
Jordan says it's Fruit Loops. Fruit Loops is the Reese's.
Yeah, Fruit Loops might be the Reese's. I think you could be right.
Oh man, Golden Grams is a sleeper. Do not sleep on Golden Graham.
It's Captain Crunch with the Crunch Berries. You got to go Crunch Berries.
Oh, I just think Captain Crunch just encompasses all. If you're going to do with that, but yes, you
get
correct.
The whole Crunch family.
Yeah, the Captain Crunch family. That's right.
Do you get the whole
what's
monster?
You know what's
you
weird?
Get the whole Monster family with Count Chocula and Frankenberry and Boo Berry.
Oh no, those you probably would have to do individually.
We're going to need a ruling.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hard one.
Don't go honeycomb. Trent, love
honeycomb.
Don't go honeycomb. But Frosted Flakes is not a bad idea.
Oh, you know what? Frosted Flakes would probably be my number. That or Honey Nut Cheerios. I'm a big fan of, but I don't know if that's a vote. I don't know if that's a vote getter. But I'm a huge fan of. Every morning I have Honey Nut Cheerios.
Steve, how much can we get from Dan to cut this show and not send it to Chris Kirkman?
That's right. Well, he works before me, so maybe I can sandbag a little bit.
This is the Bill Belichick footage that they can review before the draft.
Look at Don Lyles. Don says, "Yeah, that's it right there."
Crunch Berries. Yep.
Says,
so another thing we had mentioned earlier, BJ, I also do on the Major Spoilers Network. I do the Top 5 Express, which is just a 10-minute show where I just take a board game segment. I mean, it's board game topic and do top 5. I also do the Munchkin Land podcast on there, which is board game news, which is also only about 10 minutes. That's how I fit those in. I keep them really short. Yep. But there is coming up in the next month, I do a twofer where one is top 5 games you can play solo. So these are just regular games to play solo, and then top 5 solo only games.
Is Under Falling Skies going to get mentioned?
Maybe
we'll have to see
anything away, but it might be on that list. I also do a segment on the morning stream, which is Scott Johnson and Brian Ibbett. I do a segment every other Friday, board game segment on there as well. But please check out the Geek All Stars. It'll be released later this week. Where we, myself, Chris, Grant, and David.
Well, Dan, you are welcome back anytime. It's funny that you mentioned Grant Lyon. He's going to be on the show in 2 weeks.
Nice. Yeah. You can ask him about being the latest All-Star. And we'll have you guys on at some point, and we'll have to figure out something really good. Top
Dean. Me and Dean could come on and talk about do a Disney park attractions draft. You know what we were thinking? What,
dude? I'm right here. I'm right here.
Sorry, Steve.
You and Dean
about Disney park attractions. What do you know?
We could do bourbons, but I would finish in the last on that one.
Oh yeah, right. Steve could do bourbons, right?
I'm flexible. It would take some research on the Disney attractions, but I would be no Dean or BJ on that one. But yeah, I'm game.
What if we did a private colleges drafts from the Northeast?
Oh, good God. That is too close to home at this point with college hunting right now.
Lacrosse players from New Orleans.
I could do that one. All right, board gamers. That's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, or the YouTube page. It helps us to get the word out about all of our upcoming shows, including next week, Dan. We have another Dan coming on. It's Dan Thurrott. He's known as Space Biff. He's one of my absolute favorite written reviewers, next to Chris Ray, because I love Chris Ray. But Dan is just super erudite. Love reading his. He's really a critic. Where I'm just a reviewer, he's a critic. He goes in and it's critical analysis every week when he does it. Can't wait to talk to him. And then the following week we have Grant Lyon. He's coming in to talk about this game Curmudgeon that I got a copy of. Have you played it yet, Dan?
I have not played it, but I know it just released either last week or the week before.
I just got my copy in, so we haven't tried it yet. And honestly, I'm going to tell Grant, that's kind of a tough game to play. It's a party game that you need 4 or 5 people to play and throw insults at each other. That's going to be tough to play in this environment. But I'm going to try. Yeah. Try to get it done in the next couple of weeks. And Dan, welcome back anytime. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. And until next time, Steve and Dan, laissez les bons temps rouler.
Take care.